Chapter 10. T is for Talk. Trista always had a natural gift of gab. She could not only entertain, but she could, in the same conversation, listen and empathize. She was tactful and polite. Trista was able to quickly identify commonalities with other people, and they weren't just superficial commonalities, they were important ones. Trista never gushed about how she and another woman were wearing the same shoes or earrings. The subject of every newfound bond was always meaningful. Trista was always surprised people felt as passionately as she did about things like animal welfare, environmental sustainability, community service, and access to affordable health care. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that Trista was a naturally curious and empathetic person. She had a habit of learning a lot about people. It always helped her to understand where they were coming from, so she was always better able to appeal to their vision of the world when it was her turn to speak. This gift was also valuable in tense, awkward, or difficult situations. If someone made a conversational mistake, Trista would always find a way to eloquently rephrase what she thought the person probably meant and solve any mixed messages or other problems. Because of her skills, Trista was a valued friend and leader at her school. Trista was looking forward to all of the adventures that would come with being a college student. She loved her campus and was full of school spirit. Upon learning the basics of sorority recruitment conversation, she was ready to meet dozens of potential new friends. In the first day of recruitment, Trista was overwhelmed by the number of fun, cool, and very special women she met. She adored Kendall, who had been involved with the animal rescue operations in her rural hometown. Brittany was not only hilarious, but she also had a very serious commitment to becoming a hospital administrator and perhaps government lobbyist. She was unapologetic about her desire to reform the healthcare system, and she even described her ingenious plan in less than a minute. Lizzie was just as passionate as Trista when it came to the impact of individuals making lifestyle changes to save the earth. The two almost couldn't stop their conversation when the event ended. There were dozens of women who were very impressive, and Trista could see herself really fitting in any sorority. Making her selections that night was difficult, but she knew she would never forget meeting many of those fascinating women. She didn't know it then, but she made a great impression at every chapter during sorority recruitment. She was a highly sought-after candidate due to her warmth, gregarious nature, conversation skills, energy level, positive body language, and seeming maturity. Although she wouldn't end up in the same chapter as 90% of the phenomenal women she met, she looked forward to meeting them on campus and being inspired by their endeavors. The third step in the Sure Sister pedal system is talk. The key difference between you and another woman who doesn't understand the Sure Sister pedal system is that you'll be able to talk the talk, so to speak. Trista was the best of the best in terms of her ability to have great recruitment conversation. Can you be as good as she was? My guess is yes. Tell me about yourself, says the sorority member. Where do you go from there? That is one seriously broad question. If you'd been presented with this question at the beginning of the book, you would maybe not know how to answer, but now I'm sure you have an idea where you should start. Your position, followed by supporting evidence. The sorority members are expecting to meet conversationally naive women for the most part. Other candidates will ask questions like, which fraternities do you guys hang out with? And what's a study table and a proctor? You, however, will already know the answers to these questions. You've done the research by finding all of the bits of information you needed online. But let's be honest, facts like founding dates, founders' names, flowers, jewels, badges, and colors are irrelevant to your decision-making process. You can get a good idea of what sorority life is like as a member without asking those questions. In fact, if you have any lingering questions the day before recruitment, run them past your recruitment counselor. She should be able to answer your question intelligently for every sorority on your campus. Because you won't be asking elementary questions, you can move right into the more important questions. Questions that will alert the sorority member you are indeed one of the more sophisticated women in the room. She will immediately notice your tone and direction and will be happy to talk with you at the deeper level. After all, this is what she's been training to do for months. She'll likely be delighted. So instead of asking the basic questions, what if you impressed the sorority woman with your mature conversation skills? This is what we want you to do, to get into truly personal conversation. Let's see how this plays out over the course of your recruitment week, starting with the first round, which is often called open house or Panhellenic Day, and ending with the final round, preference. Open house day conversation is general. Most women in your position will ask questions like, "What's your philanthropy?" or "What's your scholarship program like?" These are good questions, but this is also information you can typically find out beforehand by visiting the sororities chapter websites. Also, most sororities have similar programs, and to be frank, a philanthropy is probably not your make or break question, and a sorority scholarship program will not put it ahead of many others when it's time for you to make your selections. You want to start your day one conversation where most women will be at day two. This shows you're understanding the basics and are ready to move on the next level. By having a more sophisticated conversation, you indicate you are a better fit for sorority membership than the other women who are asking about philanthropy and scholarship, or worse, parties and fraternities. You have two goals during this round. Share pertinent pieces of information that support your position and learn two pieces of information about the sorority member. You may be wondering, how do I do that? Well, you already know what your position will be based on your work in Chapter 8 and what pieces of evidence you will use to support that position based on your work in Chapter 9. Now, there are two ways to bring up your points: planting seeds and relating to other questions.